those opportunities, you know what I mean? So I got to give Loki and Josh and Matt the credit on that, and Tyler, you know what I mean? And working with other guys, you know, that's a lot of them, but that's me learning from them, you know what I mean? And learning from guys like that, when you do get switched around and you get thrown, you're not as panicked because just remember what you learned last time and apply that and just run with it, you know what I mean? So it's, yeah, I got to give those guys the credit on the polishedness.
So it does come down to who your dance partner in the ring is.
100%. 100%.
Because if you know they're going to be safe, but they're also sitting there going, hey, listen, if an opportunity presents itself, take it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So in terms of going back to, I guess, your early days, once you started hustling a little bit more and getting into these opportunities, do you now find, because you're in a comfortable position now, do you now find yourself being a little bit more selected with what events and venues you do go to? Or do you find yourself, when somebody calls, they say, hey, Aiden, we got a slot open this Friday. Can you come?
Yes.
Do you find yourself going, yes?
I know the right answer is, and the proper answer would be yes, jump on every single show. My opinion is a little different because no knocking everybody, like anybody who works every weekend and that type of stuff, God bless you, you're killing it. I'm happy for you. For me, it's like, you know, I try to be a little more selective now, only because you see a lot of the same guys on every show. So I find if I'm a little more selective, then I look a little bigger, if that makes sense.
You become more like The Undertaker.
Yeah.
You become that mythical figure that only comes around.
And I'm not saying I should be working a lighter schedule or anything like that. It's just, to me, I don't feel like I burn myself out. I have a little more star power because I'm there a little bit more. It works for me, but it also has its setbacks in my head because in my head I'm thinking too much about what my peers are thinking sometimes. It's like, you know, does he deserve this opportunity and those type of things. So that part of it weighs on me a bit. But the other side of it is like I try to, you know, tell myself like you got to be doing something right because you're getting these opportunities and you're doing okay for yourself. So, you know, don't let that stuff bring you down. You know what I mean? So. But I find it works for me. You know what I mean? I think the time will come where I'll start working more because there'll be bigger opportunities and it'll just keep rolling. And
your confidence will get stronger.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. I think a lot of people think I'm maybe snobby or like I'm off to myself or whatever. But a lot of it's honestly, man, I'm just in my head. You know what I mean? Like, and I like to be super real about that. You know, so.
But do you think sometimes being on the road as much as you are, you know, you live in Windsor, you're coming up here, you're going there, you're going there. Yeah. Do you find yourself, because you're a lot of times you're with yourself, you're driving in the car, you're with yourself. Yeah. Do you find, like you mentioned being in your head, do you find it hard sometimes to get out of your head when you're traveling from event to event and going from show to show?
Like that was my problem at the beginning, you know, like when I started wrestling training, I was super confident, I was into it. And then you start to realize, whoa, this is my dream, but it's hard. You know what I mean? And there's things you have to let go of, relationships that don't work. All that type of stuff comes into play, right? So that first little bit, I was definitely so in my head that I almost pulled away from it. And then when you do pull away from it and you realize how much this means to me and how much, you know, I miss it and like how much I want to be out there and stuff, it suddenly makes nothing else matter. But I mean, to this day, I still get in my head, especially with opportunities like this. It's like, you know, I'll talk to guys like you or people and, you know, they talk to me like I deserve it. But I think for me, it's always like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. It's always I'm not there yet. So it's like, I want to just keep getting better. You know what I mean? So I think I could have like 5-star steal the show match tonight and still be on the way home going, I should have did this and I should have did this and I should have did this. You know what I mean?
So you're a dissector. You go back sometimes and you think about everything you could have done differently.
All the time. Whether it's the conversation before the match or it's the match itself. You know what I mean? That's just the person I am.
In terms of like the training schedule early on, how rigorous was it for you to find, because you said you started late or what you described as late.
Right.
So in your mind, you started late. How rigorous was the training schedule in the beginning to kind of catch you up to a speed where you felt comfortable?
I'm very grateful because I was kind of the last of the breed of wrestling where they were really hard on you, if that makes sense. Like not in like a rude way or anything. But
so you were Generation X wrestling training, whereas everybody now is millennial training.
Yes, and I don't mean that in a bad way or anything.
I completely do. Here's a participation award. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
I don't believe in it at all.
So for me, it was. I mean, some guys nowadays, if they went through what I went through and those type of things, maybe they wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, it's okay, rub your back type of stuff where I'm grateful that I was the last of the, no, go until you almost throw up. You know what I mean? Because maybe at the time I was like, oh, screw this. But now that's helped me so much out there. It's helped me in my life. I'm a stronger person because of it. My confidence is different. All that stuff comes into play.
It's that thick skin that we talk about.
Yeah, because before, like I said, like before wrestling training and stuff, I was that shy, sad kid. So, I mean, going through that, I'm not going to lie, it messed me up at first, but then it was like a breakdown and build me back up. And then now that it's built me back up, I'm a tougher person because of it.
So sometimes it shows, I mean, you're a face, your character is a face, but even still, you find those fans that don't like faces. They're strictly heel fans. So in terms of like a fan, like there's a hardcore Destiny fan, his name is Bench. He is all over everybody consistently. And unless he loves you, if he hates you, he'll let you know. The Bruiserweight actually pushed him at the last event because he got 2 in his face. So in terms of fans like that, who are fans who are strictly just, they're going to cheer for who they cheer for. They don't care if technically, in terms of kayfabe, they're supposed to cheer for you.
Right.
So do you hear those kind of comments when you're in the ring? Do they get to you? Do they shake you?
I used to. They used to destroy me. Like in the sense, like I wasn't in the best shape when I first started. So I'd like go out there and someone would say, I could kick this kid's ass or whatever. And it would weigh on me, you know what I mean? But then after a while you realize, guy sitting in the crowd, he's doing his job. I'm doing mine. So, I mean, he paid his hard-earned money for that ticket. If he wants to boo me, let him out. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take any offense to it anymore because, I'm not going to lie. When I was that age going to shows or I was younger going to shows, sometimes you boo the face that you don't like or, and stuff like that. So I've learned to take it with, he's a wrestling fan. He's not trying to personally attack you. You know what I mean?
That's what the business that we're in is, right?
And that's what this is criticism and stuff like that. So it's just another person that it's like, and my favorite is that guy that's booing me, and then by the end he gave me a high five, right? So it's like
because you earned his respect.
Yeah, so it's like that to me because like people talk about I want to earn this promoter, that promoter's respect. That's not honestly, man. That's not why I'm here. Like that's not why I got into this. That's not anything. Like my thing is to impress the people, and that might sound cliche, but that's really all I care about. So it's like I've learned that if I do get bad criticism, take it, learn from it. But remember, at the end of the day, who paid their money to see you? So it's, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. So in terms of promoters, we talked about promoters. Yes. Do you ever feel sometimes when you say no to a promoter that you feel you may have burned a bridge? Or are you just honest with them? Because you're an honest, real guy. You're being very candid with me, and I appreciate that. So in terms of, like, with the promoters, if they call you and say, hey, listen, we got a spot this Friday. Can you come on board? And you say, I'm sorry, I can't. I got a show on Saturday or I got something that's conflicting. I really, truly can't.
Yeah.
When you hang up that phone, because you're in your head a lot, do you feel like, damn, I may have burned that bridge?
Every damn time. No, every time. And that's just me, you know what I mean? Because I'll think that way, and then I see them at a show, and they're like, hey, buddy, how you doing? And you're like, wow, I'm an idiot. I was overthinking that, you know what I mean?
So you really do find out later on that nothing's personal.
Yeah, nothing's good. It's all good, you know what I mean? It's depending, right? And it all comes to respect, I think, It's like, with you guys, you were so nice to me and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, if you give me respect, I'm giving that respect back.
100%, and that's the same way I am.
Yeah, 100%.
So in terms of it was actually interesting when we interviewed George the Iceman.
Yeah,
he mentioned about social media, and he mentioned about really, especially when you're an indie wrestler, you've got to keep on top of your social media.
Yes.
Now that's a great tool to promote you.
Yes,
but as we know, the internet has given everybody a voice.
Yes,
negative and positive.
Yes.
When you're out there in the crowd, you've learned how to shrug it off.
Right.
But when you wake up in the morning and you've got probably 40, 50 messages, and you scroll through them and you're like, one guy's like, dude, you're awesome, keep rocking, I love you, you're going to see you at the next show. Then you have one guy or one girl who's like, I can't stand the sight of you.
Yeah.
And I want you to die a horrible death or something stupid like that.
And I've had it,
So how do you get out of that mold? Do you just block them and carry on? Or do you sit there and dissect it and go, at the end of the day, they're a wrestling fan. She's saying that because she's a fan. She doesn't know me.
I always laugh at stuff like that because usually I just don't reply because there's a great guy like you or someone who's seen me here that's going to do it for me. So I sit back, you know what I mean? But I'd be lying if I said it didn't get to me. You know what I mean? But it's also one of those things where it's like, just like you said, like people don't really know what goes into this. Like this is a crazy life we live, a very blessed life, but it is a crazy life we live. You know what I mean? So it's, people like that, it's like, and then you go and you look at their Facebook or whatever, and it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You're not doing anything.
Yeah, you're working a 9 to 5.
And you're yelling at me like, you guys, because in my heart and in my head, I can't even picture doing that. You know what I mean? I can't even do that to a WWE guy who probably has 5,000 screw you comments. I could never do that, whether I was a fan or a wrestler. Like So the fact that people can do that or air somebody out online or things like that, it's like, yeah, why? You're not helping yourself on social media. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, you're just making yourself look bad.
So in terms of like, as you grow in each match, you get advice. Like, you probably tonight after the match, OVE will come over and maybe give you some notes or something like that, and you'll take it in stride.
100%.
But was there ever a piece of advice that came from a legend or even a close personal friend or a fellow wrestler that's going through the grind like you are? Was there ever that one piece of advice that you still kind of carry with you?
Yes. Moose, actually. I had the pleasure of training with Moose before he went to ROH. So he was at our school for a while and did a couple Border City pre-shows and stuff before he, blew up like he did. But Moose had given me the feedback that a lot of guys are going to come up to you and give you feedback. And as a young guy, you walk around and say, hey, how was my match? How was my match? How was my match? How was my match? And he said, this is just his opinion, but if you do that to everybody, that's going to mess your head up. Because if you walk around and say, hey, how was my match? And this person says, that was sweet. Don't do that drop kick. And then I go over to this guy and say, hey, how was that? And he says, that drop kick was sweet. Then you go to this guy and he's like, everything was good. Keep it all. And you're like, but that guy said, and this guy said. And so the best advice that I ever got was find somebody that you look up to in this business, find somebody that knows their stuff, and go to that person only for advice. And that has stuck with me. Like, I have my select few now, you know what I mean? But
you have your inner circle.
Yes, you have that circle of people that you go to and say, hey, man, did you happen to watch my match? How was it? What could I have done better? Because usually those people are on the same page. And I've had conversations with other guys where they've gone to WWE or whatever, and they get a lot of feedback, so they're almost like, do I even know who I am anymore? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I got at one point, was I was asking too many people. I just want to learn, you know what I mean? I just want to learn. And it was like, it does jumble your head up. So Moose gave me that advice, and I remember him telling me that, and it just clicked. So now I'll call Tyson Dukes, or I'll talk to Scott D'Amore, or I call George, or, you know what I mean? I have my select people that I go to. Josh has been super cool to me. So getting advice from those guys that are all kind of on the same page, it definitely helps.
And do you find it when you're, like, for your example, you're saying you and Josh are super cool.
Yeah.
Josh and I actually have a bromance.
Oh, okay.
We have a bromance. It's pretty special. He doesn't really know about it, but it's in my head.
Yeah.
But do you find yourself, when you're tight with somebody, you're good with somebody, and you see them at shows all the time, and you consider them like your inner circle, your friend.
Right.
And they come up to you and they say, all right, we're going to kill in the ring tonight.
Yeah.
Is it hard to turn off the friendship switch?
No, it almost amps up. It honestly,
because now you're going with your buddies. Yeah. Now you're like, I got to go even harder because it's my buddy.
Exactly. And you can throw things in a little tighter, and you know that you don't got to worry too much. It's your buddy, you know what I mean? Where I think sometimes guys get tough and then they don't want to work with people or those type of things. So it's like, when it's your buddy, it's like, yo, we're killing it. Like, it just amps it up. Like,
we're going to go even harder.
Yeah,
it's almost like you're playing Xbox, but a live version of it.
Like, I'm excited to work with Kobe Durst tonight, because, I love the kid. He's a great guy, super polite. He's been nothing but respectful since I met him, like, years ago. So, this match is exciting because it's. I feel like it's me and my buddy going out there to tear it up. So. Yeah,
it's pretty cool, too, because between you and Kobe, you guys have literally 3 facial hairs.
Yep, pretty much. Might be one I forgot. Yeah.
So, do you, in terms of, because now you said you're a trainer.
Yeah.
So now you're kind of guiding the up-and-comers.
Yes.
This millennial class, if you will.
Yes.
Do you have any advice? Like, if there's a wrestler, if there's a young kid we've got a couple young fans that listen to our podcast all the time. So we try to educate as much as we try to entertain. But do you have, like, if I was a newbie coming into the business and I was like, my goal is WWE, and we'll get to your goal in a second, but my goal is WWE. I want to headline WrestleMania 42. That's my timeline. I got 7-8 years to make it happen. What do you sit there and tell this kid coming in, this green kid who doesn't know really anything about the business other than what he's seen on TV?
Right.
And he only sees the end product. He has no idea about the 87 producers that are backstage.
Right.
And everyone has a particular moment of the match they got to produce.
Yeah.
What would you tell an up-and-comer like that coming in for the first time?
My biggest thing is never stop learning. And I know that sounds cliche. You'll hear that from everybody. But never stop trying to learn. Never get comfortable with the fact that I'm showing up at a wrestling show and I know what I'm doing out there. Because even you say I'm a trainer and I am one, but it's like it's almost like surreal to hear sometimes, because it's like I'm still learning myself, and that's never going to stop.
And you probably learn from who you're teaching, right?
Oh yeah, which is phenomenal. Like, you learn so much in the teaching of it. Know your basics. That was one of the biggest thing.
Safety.
Yes, safety. Because the basics leads to everything else. So if you can learn those basics, and do them well, then everything else